What's going on, everybody? Sloth here. Hope you're having an awesome day. And man, oh man, if you were a competitive Destiny PvP player in Destiny 1, you should really be excited for Destiny 2, because I'm almost certain this game is going to get a huge backing from MLG, and let me tell you why. The Destiny 1 competitive PvP scene was incredibly popular, despite what some may think, considering how unbalanced the game was. The game was consistently able to sit within Twitch's top 10 most viewed game section for over 2 years, and although big streamers like Broman and Goliathon helped that, a large bulk of these views came from amazing PvP players playing quote-unquote sweats, the competitive PvP game mode, such as What the Fuck is Poshy, AE Gabriel. This shows that the game had a huge audience for the competitive side of the game, despite not even having private matches, for Christ's sake. And now Destiny is at the end of its life. It has had some backing from MLG with paid tournaments. The most recent was £3,000 prize pool. The tournament is small compared to other games, but it shows that MLG are interested, and with the massive balance changes to PvP in Destiny 2, there is literally no doubt in my mind that Destiny 2 will be getting a big backing from MLG, and you'll see it explode onto the esports scene. And I'm going to go over some of the changes that they've made in Destiny 2 that I think leads towards this decision. The issue with Destiny 1 that I felt when playing competitively in the PvP game mode was there was too many random things that could happen. The player didn't really have that much control over what was going on. For instance, supers. You had no idea when an enemy had a Hammer of Solar or a Fist of Panic, let's say. And then say if you were to go and engage that enemy, you'd have no idea what they were about to do. You could think, oh yeah, I'm about to clean this guy up. Before you know it, you've been Nova bombed out of nowhere and you didn't know it was coming, and there's no way to play to that. But in Destiny 2, if you look at the top of the screen in the gameplay I'm showing, you can clearly see that it states what classes people are playing as and when their super is up. When their super is up, it highlights in almost a yellow colour. This clearly shows and gives the player a lot more control, so they know when they can engage, when they can't engage, and if their enemy is super up, they know that their super needs to be up as well, so they're able to challenge that. So it's just giving the player more knowledge, so it allows them to make more informed decisions, therefore getting rid of some of the randomness. A huge glaring issue with Destiny 1's PvP was the balancing. You couldn't balance the secondary weapons. It was a huge issue. Shotguns were either always overpowered, and sniper rifles were always a one-shot kill to the head, sometimes arguably with too much aim assist. Depends on what kind of style you had. But I felt Bungie always found it difficult to find the line between a primary weapon playstyle and a secondary weapon playstyle. In year 1 of Destiny, you could practically, and some very talented PvP players did, made their playstyle completely secondary only. They'd run around with the shotgun all game, completely neglecting their primary weapon, and Bungie didn't want the game to be played that way. Therefore, they nerfed shotguns into the ground, and they continued to nerf them into the ground until that playstyle was gone. But yet still, the game was built around that secondary weapon system, so it just felt completely unbalanced. So the way that Bungie seemed to have changed this, they've completely removed the secondary weapons that were OP in the PvP, for instance the sniper rifles and the shotguns. The fusion rifles were never really a staple of competitive PvP play, I felt, so they weren't really an issue, but they've been moved into the heavy weapon slot as well. So you will no longer be able to rely and have a crutch on them secondary weapons. What'd be interesting to see though, it seems like it's moving very similar towards Halo. Now, Halo, when you play the game, you usually have a primary weapon, usually longer range, depending on what game mode you're playing, but you either have a pulse rifle that's burst fire, or you have a scout rifle, and then you usually have a assault rifle or submachine gun and a pistol. Now, this seems to be the format that Destiny's fallen into now. So you've got pulse rifles, you've got scout rifles, you've got auto rifles as the primary weapons that you can use, and then in the secondary weapon slot, and you've got the hand cannons, and then in the secondary weapon slot you've got the elemental. So you can use a scout rifle in a primary slot and an elemental slot on Destiny. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I imagine in the competitive realm, people will be running with a long range weapon as their primary, and their secondary weapon will be something that's better up close. That's just how I see it playing out. But the game hasn't came out yet. We don't know what's going to be good and what's not going to be good. Something that I'd like to see in Destiny 2 would be a bit of versatility though. I'd like to see it be a reliable playstyle to run around with a submachine gun, with the submachine gun as your primary and then an elemental submachine gun as your secondary, or maybe a sidearm as your primary and a sidearm as your secondary. A little bit of different, a close quarters play style that I'd like to be viable in PvP to give watching the competitive round a bit of depth, so not everyone's running around with a thorn and a last word like we've seen running havoc in Destiny 1. I'd like to see some versatility in the competitive round. But the reason I don't think this is going to be really that viable is because the changes that they've made to Destiny 2's movement system. In Destiny 1 there was something called quote-unquote skating, where with a Warlock or a Titan you could basically fly around the map at immense speeds, and this allowed with a shotgun the up close close quarters play style and the quick play style and an aggressive play style very, very effective, and it made it really, really fun to watch. And I love that type of play style, and I'd love to see a close quarters play style be viable again in Destiny 2, but in much more of a balanced way with the stun machine guns and the sidearms. If you ever played competitive Destiny yourself, you will know that in the rules of the quote-unquote sweaty arena, heavy ammo was never allowed. You were not allowed to pick it up. So it's going to be interesting to see how this translates into Destiny 2, because sniper rifles, shotguns, fusion rifles, grenade launchers and rocket launchers themselves are now in the heavy weapon category, and you can choose of which ones you want to use. And the heavy weapon drops spawn in 2 places on the map, and whenever someone picks it up you're alerted to where they've picked it up and what they're using. It seems much more balanced, and it gives the player again a lot more knowledge so they know what's going on when they are playing the game. So this leads me to believe that in the sweaty arena, again I don't know why I'm calling that, but in the sweaty arena in Destiny 2, I can imagine that heavy weapons will be allowed to be used, and that's purely because it gives the player more knowledge of what people have, and also it seems a lot more balanced. In the footage that I've seen, when someone picks up a rocket launcher for example, they get 1 bullet, obviously because it's a lot easier to kill someone with a rocket launcher than it is with a sniper rifle, and the sniper rifle gets 6 shots because obviously it's a 1-shot headshot, so there's a bit more skill in using a sniper rifle than a rocket launcher. So it seems like they've made every effort to balance the Crucible in every way, shape or form, including with the heavy ammo system. Also in Destiny 2 it seems like they're trying to focus more on the gunplay. Destiny 1 was very, very ability based. You could make it so that your grenades were up very, very quickly and your melees were up very, very quickly. Depending on what class you played, you could rely very, very heavily on your abilities rather than your gun skill. For instance, the Sunsinger Warlock with his firebolt grenades, I mean, you could throw one of them. If you tagged someone with them, you only had to hit him with practically 1 to 2 bullets and you were going to kill them, and you got that grenade up probably every 40 seconds to a minute, so you were able to practically throw that grenade every 3rd engagement, almost guaranteeing you a kill. Whereas it seems like Bungie has slowed down the timers on the grenades now, putting a lot more emphasis on gun skill. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the game plays out in the competitive realm. But I really do think that Destiny 2 will make an impact, onto the esports scene, because Bungie seems like they've made every effort to balance and standardise the PvP arena within the Crucible. Now, whether or not we'll actually see rank play within Destiny 2, I imagine that we will. Made every effort to make the game as balanced as possible and give the players as much information as possible to make the best informed decisions when they're in game as possible, if that makes sense. So they'll have a lot more control of what's going on. So they'll know when their opponent supers up, they'll know how to deal with it, they know when someone's picked up heavy ammo. So it seems to me like there's no reason not to add in a ranked playlist. Whether or not that will come out at release, I don't know. There's so much more content for Destiny to reveal. There's only been 1 reveal yet and everyone's going crazy about it, but there's plenty more time for Destiny to reveal this. Whether or not it comes out at the release, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure at some point within Destiny 2's life cycle we will see ranked play. And I could put my house on it. I do really believe that the MLG will pick up Destiny 2 because of the way it looks now and because of how standardised it looks. I can see it blowing up in the esports scene. So it might not happen, it's my opinion, but I personally think it could. Now, I'm going to leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy the video, if you are a competitive Destiny PvP player yourself and you are excited about this, please leave it down in the comments below if you do think this will be happening. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching the video, and have a great day.